everybody here. And you know, next month too, we'll be, I've got Dr. Dan Coleman coming from Merrimack Valley Hospital, the hospitalist. If you guys have any suggestions regarding topics, Dr. Dan said, you know, get them to me and I'll get them to him, and otherwise he'll come in and discuss wellness and whatnot. But I'm really so grateful to be able to have Lieutenant John Cudmore with us this morning to discuss his recent training at Quantico at the FBI National Academy. But before he begins, you know, the department was just received their reaccreditation. We talked about it at the department head meeting yesterday. It's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
And you know, well deserved. You know, you are truly. I've worked with some other police departments in the area, and this is such a professional police department. We're so fortunate to have.
Thank you so much.
Plus, they're in the newspaper here. In today's Newburyport Daily News.
They recognize it, right? Thank you so much, because it's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you, Connie. Really appreciate it.
So we've also got Chief Mulligan with us, who's then going to introduce or discuss further before Lieutenant Cudmore begins. But I still have some more coffee and stuff, so I'm kind of stick around. If you need anything, tell me. I'll leave here.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Good morning.
You know, it's funny. I'm standing here and I thought, I knew Don was going to talk about his experience in 10 weeks at the FBI National Academy, but I want you to know how this came about. Lieutenant Cudmore and I many talks. Lieutenant Cudmore has been a police officer for 27 years, all of it here in Georgetown, highly dedicated, loyal, squared away officer. He led our accreditation process, and that's why we're reaccredited for the second time. One of only 39 departments in the state. So we're very pleased about that. But one day back in, I don't know, a while ago now, it was October, I think, last October. I pick up the phone, I call a guy I know at the FBI National Academy. I know he's leaving, and I want to wish him good luck in his new job. And I said, oh, by the way, I said, I've got a great young officer here, a lieutenant. I said, he'd like to go to the academy. He says to me, can he go in July? I go, I don't know. So I went to John's office and I say, Lieutenant, can you go in July to the FBI National Academy? It's 10 weeks in Quantico, Virginia, 10 weeks away from your home. A lot of hard work, physical activity, all these things. It's really a tough program. He looks at me and goes, yes. But I gotta call my wife, I gotta check my schedule. Yes. That's all he said. I go, yes? He goes, yes. I ran back and I said, yes, he can go. So I wanted you to know, he'll tell you about his experiences, but I'll tell you, not only did he go, he distinguished himself. And he attends with over 200 members of other police departments from international agencies. Almost every state in the union goes there. And our lieutenant from Georgetown distinguished himself among this group. He became a leader among that group. I've got to tell you something about the quality of the people we have here at Georgetown, and a leader like Lieutenant Donald Cudmore. So, like I said, it's my pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Cudmore to explain talk about his 10 weeks at the FBI National Academy.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much for those kind words. Although I did say yes, I did have to go home and tell my wife I said yes. I'm no different than anybody else. And that is the most important thing. That's what she said. But we got over that. Before I get started, I just wanted to say that for disclosure and disclaimers, I'm not here to promote the FBI, nor am I speaking on their behalf, as well as the National Academy. The information I give you is public. A lot of the photographs that I'll show you are in a public venue. There were many photo opportunities that are not public because it's a classified and authorized personnel only area. So, but I was able to get permission to use some of these photographs. The FBI National Academy is operated by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and it's located in Quantico, Virginia. They've been training law enforcement officers there since 1935. The training facility itself is located inside the Quantico Marine Base. So the Marines are in charge of the surrounding facility, and then inside their facility is the training grounds for the FBI, and there is a location also for the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration. The prestige of going and being chosen to go to the National Academy Less than 1% of law enforcement executives will ever have the opportunity to go to the National Academy. So I stand here today humbled with the fact that I was able to go, the fact that this community supported my tenure, and more importantly, the nomination that I received from the Chief of Police, Chief Mulligan, who is also a National Academy graduate. 186, Chief, session?
184.
184. You'll see in my presentation the sessions are numbered. Being that in 1935, the first academy only had 23 graduates. So, as I said, to attend, it requires a nomination process. I was nominated by the chief through that story that he told you as a previous graduate, as well as being my CEO. And in order to get into the National Academy, the FBI came out, they did a background check on me, believe it or not, even though I'm a police officer. They came out, they did the background check, I passed. But additionally, the new component within the National Academy since 1988 was the physical fitness component. Health and wellness is a priority in our profession, and they want leaders, executives, to promote physical fitness for sustainability for police officers, for the obvious reasons. While I was there, I took graduate level courses. I already have my master's degree, so the University of Virginia provides a certification program for master's candidates in those particular studies of leadership, management, and law enforcement employee development. But again, the strict focus on physical fitness and wellness programs was very evident, as you'll see in my presentation. The chief did come to me. I couldn't believe that I had the opportunity, number one, and I was more than willing to drop everything to go. I started training immediately during December, January, all the way till July when I left. Running, and you had to meet a weight and height requirement, so I did all that. This is just a picture that I found. This is the original graduating class over there of the FBI, and then some of the years of their training back when it began, and that's the original class back in 1935. So from a historical perspective, I think that's really a neat photograph of what they've accomplished. And the Academy today, surprisingly, I came back and told my stories to the chief, and he could tell the same exact story. So the regiments have been the same. Society changes, opinions of how we do our jobs change, but the rigors of the Academy were exactly the same, as was the facility, except for the modern updates that was necessary for the change in our profession. That was the day I arrived at Quantico. It was a very proud day for me. I was very excited to go. I wasn't even really that apprehensive. I said goodbye to my family, and I jumped in a car and went down, and there I was on the Marine base. The facility itself, this is just one photograph that I could show, but the facility is 125 acres. They have a number of buildings, training facilities, heavy focus on ranges and shooting, obviously because of the federal component. So there were ranges there 1/4 of a mile long for bore and sharpshooters and things like that. It's a very pretty facility, a lot of memorials and things like that for law enforcement. And included in that whole facility is a city called Hogan's Alley. It's several blocks. It's actually as large, if not larger, than the Trestle Way complex. And it's just a training city. They have cars parked there, there's theaters, there's hotels, there's condos, and that's where we do training for hostage and sniper training, things like that. So they have this smart, these are the blocks, this is real. You know, the cars parked there, so, I mean, we got to use it, we walked through it. And there's actually a sign that hangs here that says, if you're there visiting, and there happens to be a training exercise, you're gonna have to play along. Because they don't know who you are, and they don't know that you're not part of that scenario. So when you enter into the city, Hogan's Alley, you have to be prepared. If a SWAT team's coming out, hopefully they'll treat you good and you get out of it. So when we were touring that and using it, so that was fun. These are just some photographs of the various ranges. In addition to the National Academy graduates, the National Academy students who were there, myself, we had 250 of us from all over the country, and we had 29 international countries represented. I was able to converse with generals from national police forces, from as far away as places I've never heard of, to countries that were just incorporated less than 4 years ago. And they had their incorporation papers where they'd just become a country. And they had the national police force commissioners, generals, whatever their ranking structure was. And we're there training together in this facility, same classrooms, learning. You know, they come to the United States, to the most prestigious law enforcement agency in the world, the FBI, to learn American policing. So I found that fascinating. They have, like I say, it was amazing how many ranges and things that were there. I was fascinated by it. The chief gave me every piece of equipment I needed to go down there. I had a vehicle, I had a mountain bike, so I would get on the mountain bike and ride the facility on my time off, which was few and far between, but and watch the FBI training, because in addition to yourself there, all of the new FBI agents are incorporated with us, training. They're staying in the same dorms, so there's that interaction with younger agents, which is also a fun dynamic. We eat together. Again, the physical fitness component, the largest gym and physical fitness centers I've ever seen in my life were there. We had to go through the rigors, specific testing to get there. We all did that. These shorts and shirts are the famous outfits. The chief was very familiar with them. I brought him back a set for his memorabilia box, and he says, I know exactly what they look like because he had them. There's a picture of me in the final phase of there was a planking competition. It's something where you get on all fours, as I am there, with 4 points on the ground, your 2 toes, your 2 elbows. You have to raise 2 points. I did it for 3 minutes and 38 seconds, but I came in second. Someone else beat me, only one other guy. And you know what second place gets you? Nothing. So that's what I have. I have second place. But you know, I've tried it again since. I can't get there anymore. But I must have had some extra energy that day. But I'm trying to beat. That's a personal thing I'm trying to beat. And actually, have my wife and my kids doing it too. So it's a great exercise. It was a lot of fun. The physical fitness component is a challenge. It's called Yellow Brick Road. It's a 6.1 mile run in an obstacle course built and designed by the Marine Corps. They do it for their training. So in order to complete the Yellow Brick Road, you have to work your fitness plan to be able to participate. Not everybody could participate. I was able to do that. The instructors didn't like it. We liked it. It was pouring the day we were scheduled to go out there because we have to be driven there. And the place was a mess. There was mud and rain and lightning. And it was, so, you know, we were excited because we were going to take that adversity and try to make something out of it. But we go through, it's all kinds of terrain. There's about 30 stations here where you got to go up these ropes and rocks and run. And then after you're done, you have to run 3 miles back. They drive you there in a bus. You do the 6.1, then you got to run back. So it was the opportunity of a lifetime with people that I became very friendly with. So it was a team effort. This is just some of the jungle that we had to go through. It was an interesting place. You meet people that you now form relationships for a lifetime. I have close friends that are going out to sea this summer from South Dakota. This was my roommate. He was a captain down in Alexandria, Virginia. I always told him he's probably one of the smartest guys I've ever met. Him and I roomed together for 10 weeks, and he actually lived nearby, but he stayed there with us. And I mean, just a brilliant man, and I learned a lot from him. And he says he learned a lot from me, but I think he was more fascinated with my accent than probably what I did. But he enjoyed being and a Patriots fan. That guy right there is a Patriots fan. So, and we were the only two. So, and it was interesting. There's the Yellow Brick Road. Award you get, the award is a brick. You get a brick that's painted yellow with your academy number on it. The yellow brick comes from the Marines when you're out there. When they built it, they put yellow bricks so that they could see at night, and they're in the ground. So in 1988, the FBI National Academy decided to issue these bricks. This gentleman here is the director of physical fitness training for the National Academy, as well as all of the recruits, and he's been there for a number of years. statement. He says I could use it. He says that he enjoys the NA students when they come down. The agents are younger. He says, but he called us the old timers who come down, who are the police executives. He says, I have to be careful you guys don't kill yourselves up there because you try so hard. So he likes the effort, and I thought that was a good compliment for the older generation of law enforcement executives. I also participated in a voluntary physical fitness program. It's called the Blue Brick Road. There's the Blue Bricks. This was the largest, and inside my 250 class, there were 54 people who participated in the Blue Brick. That's a swim challenge. You have to swim 34 miles, and the number 34 comes from swimming from Quantico to Washington, D.C., so from headquarters to the training. Of course, we didn't do it all in one day. I ended up doing about 50 miles. Once I hit the 34, I was able to continue the march. I have a couple of friends in here who actually did 100, and we had one 200-miler. The kid was a swimmer in college. He could swim like a fish. I mean, I'm not even a proficient swimmer, so my first 10 miles were probably 40 miles. I had to learn how to really be a proficient swimmer. You had to get different gear and everything. I'm a pretty decent swimmer now, but you know, living in New England, you either have to get a pool or there's no swimming outside here. And I will not do those winter jumps in the water and all that. I don't see that any fun in that. But this was a great test for physicality, as well as it kept me healthy. Just like everywhere, I'm sure the military folks in here, you know, when a cold gets into this dormitory, I mean, it just cripples the place. We had, you know, they called it the NA crud. There were people getting sick and sick and sick. Either there was something in that pool that kept us, this group did not get sick. We were either poisoned by the chlorine or we were stronger, I don't know. But this group stayed healthy. And the second I stopped swimming, 2 weeks before we were leaving, I got sick. So I said staying in the pool every day was doing something for me. It was a tough grind, but it was worth it. I'm going to end, and I'll take some questions, but included in the academy is this enrichment program. And the enrichment program is once a week. Every Wednesday they would have very distinguished guests come in and see us, speak to us, and then you had the option to buy their books and talk to them. The gentleman I found that had the most profound effect on me was Lieutenant Tommy Norris, Navy SEAL, back in Vietnam. He went to a mission, and there's an actual movie on it, Bat 21, where the Lieutenant Colonel was trapped in enemy territory, and the lieutenant was charged with, because he was a SEAL, there were only 3 Navy SEALs who received awards in Vietnam, and he was the one that led the charge to go get this Lieutenant Colonel. So Lieutenant Norris went to the area in which the Lieutenant, and I want to use my notes because I don't want to discredit what he's done. And I have it memorized, but I don't want to miss anything. Lieutenant Norris was born in 1944. He has a Bachelor of Science in Sociology with criminology background from the University of Maryland, and he was an Atlantic Coast Conference wrestling champion, and a very slight man when I met him, and you'll see in the photograph. When he joined the Navy, he hoped to fly jets, but he had problems with his vision. He had acuity and depth perception issues, so he was washed from being a pilot. It disqualified him for that job. He had stated to us he was very disappointed in that. It was actually his lifelong dream. He struggled during his training, and the instructors seriously thought they were going to wash him out during his SEAL training. So he's chosen to, because he's a Navy SEAL, to go find this Lieutenant Colonel, and this South Vietnamese soldier right here is also there. So Lieutenant Norris goes in, he tries to find the the Lieutenant Colonel. He finds him. He sustains a near fatal head wound, the lieutenant does. And while in combat, he was evacuating, and he was in the rear leading the charge, and he was taken out. He was left for dead. They thought he had perished. The accident was so severe it had blown half his head off. They thought he had perished in the attack. So he was going to be recovered at a later time. When they went to get him, they found out he was alive. So they bring him back. The mission's successful as a result of his actions, and he's given the Medal of Honor for his actions. And he had lost his eye, his left eye, and part of his head. He sustained a serious head injury, had to retire from the Navy. He then spent 3 years recovering from his injuries in the hospital, and over a 6-year period underwent many major surgeries until 1979 when he was had recovered. This was the poster that was outside the room when we went in to see him. There's his Medal of Honor. The interesting part of his story, though, was in 1979, after he recovered and retired from the Navy, he went to the FBI director, William Webster, and said, I'd like you to waive my disabilities because I want to be an FBI agent. And the then director, Webster, responded, and I quote, he said, you can be an FBI agent if you can pass the same test as everybody else here while applying for this organization. I will then waive your disabilities. In September of 1979, Norris passed the test and subsequently served as an FBI agent for over 20 years. He was an original member of the FBI's HRT team, which is also housed in Quantico. I was one of only 20 people because I made the time to go tour HRT, which is the exclusive SWAT team, so to speak, for the FBI. It's an unbelievable facility. Blacked out helicopters, you know, things that I had never seen before. And he was the original member of the FBI's HRT team as an assault team leader. So I found this guy just unbelievable. I was able to meet him and talk to him. Just an amazing guy. So, you know, the FBI Academy allowed me to at least do this that night. They made us watch the movie. We watched the movie first. He spoke for over 2 hours, and he stayed and spoke to every single person in that class who wanted to speak to him. He was able after 10 o'clock at night. He was tired, but you know what? I mean, this guy's a hero. Unbelievable. So that was the pinnacle of me being in the FBI Academy, and seeing people like that, realizing that the adversity of the swimming and the running and a couple of push-ups and climbing a rope is nothing compared to what someone like him had endured, and he's the model for the National Academy. I would assume the FBI too, so hats off to the lieutenant. I did graduate. It was a wonderful day for me. My wife was there. It's the pinnacle of my career here in Georgetown so far. My promotions and so forth under the Commander Chief mode, and it's been, I'm a very blessed person, and I love it here. I've lived in Georgetown for 44 years. I still can't determine if I'm a townie yet. You know, I meet some of my friends, and you know, they've been here for 50 years, so I'm like, okay, so they got me beat. Then I have people who've lived here 10 years, so I don't know where I stand in the ranks, but
You have to be conceived here, I think.
okay. All right. Well, you know, like I say, I just throw it out there. I don't know what it's all about, but I'm here. I'm a resident. I'm raising my family here. It's a great town. You have the best police department that money can buy. So that's it. My session was 246. Every session is numbered, so you can see from session 1 all the way up. The chief gave you the session number. So that's it. That's all I have.
All right.
Any questions that I can answer? Or?
I got four.
Sure.
10 weeks of training for all the physical activities you guys have gone through. It would be interesting if you could take the weight that you were at the day you started, and then after all of this strenuous stuff, to see physically how you did.
Well, what I did, and they do track that. For me, I got, and everybody has their own physical fitness abilities and desires. I remain the same myself. It's always been a commitment to me as a police officer that I never wanted to be that officer that everybody talks about, that looks like he's out of shape, doesn't look like, you know, looks like he can't run. You know, we all seen it, and it's unfortunate, but it doesn't take away from the officer himself. But I've always kept myself fit. It's a part of the program. And it's a part of the training they want us to bring back to our departments, to our officers, especially command officers, to set that example, set the precedent that, hey, you know, it's a demanding job. If you stay physically fit, you remain, you can be healthier. You know, you knock on wood that you don't get anything that's out of your control, but you're at least moving in the right direction. So from that perspective, I know officers had these charts. I mean, we had officers here that lost 20 and 30 pounds, and they got on this new, for me, I'm probably the same weight when I went and when I came back. I've been lucky to just remain the same. My clothes are the same size. I didn't have to buy any different clothes. So I think that that's part of my personal mission. I still run today. I ran before. I'm in charge of the physical fitness program here in town for our department, for new hires. Chief has a very, very regimented program. When he came here, he did it himself. You know, he was older, not old, he was older, but he went out there and actually set the course.
He's kind.
Very good.
I have to be politically correct. Right? My boss, he had a plan when he came, and he set a course. So he came out on a Saturday and he did the course. So, I mean, if your chief can do it, and he's 20 years your senior, then when you're a recruit, you come in and there's no excuses. I do it today. We just ran some recruits through the training. I wanted to make sure that it's still not too strenuous. I went out on a Sunday and did it myself again. So if the chief can do it, the lieutenant can do it, then everybody should be able to do it. Yes, sir.
A lot of people seem to think the FBI, all they think about is like white culture and the rogue officer that's in jail now.
Mhm.
And they read novels about how the FBI don't cooperate with anyone. It's not right.
That's not right at all. What I learned from being there and living there with the FBI, it is the reason why that they're probably considered the leader around the entire world is the myriad of task forces and the assistance. I came back with probably 13 or 14 definitive programs that I've since put into place with our own detectives. Things I knew nothing about. I didn't know this all existed. And they were all from the FBI. They're all free. They don't cost money. All it is engaging, getting involved. They help the local police departments. Unlimited resources. For me to attend this academy, I believe the chief of research, I think it was upwards of $56,000 for me to go down there. But we didn't pay for that. The FBI pays for that. So you're absolutely right. I mean, that's just one component of an agency. And then they also do a lot of international work. They do a ton of international work. And I think that the fact that we had 29 international students in our class just shows the commitment of the government, the federal government at this law enforcement level, to invite them into our home, share our knowledge, and maybe even some of our secrets, so that they can bring back what they need to be effective law enforcement officers in their nations, communities, cities, towns, provinces. I never heard of so many types of organizations and communities as when I was at the FBI Academy. So you're absolutely right, Chief.
Lieutenant, can you describe your living conditions, what your dorm looked like, and how's
Sure.
that set up?
Well, that dorm tower that I showed you, in order to save space, get many people in it, it's a huge training facility for the entire federal government. You had suite mates. There were 4 grown men, 2 on this side, 2 on this side, and we shared a bathroom in the middle. So as we get older, you have, your most coveted times of being able to shower and use the restroom were put to task. So you have to make arrangements with your suite mates to say, I'm using the restroom or the bathroom now or then. But what you learn is that there's a gym facility that can hold 1,000 people down there with 1,000 shower stalls. So somehow, some way we made it. But you're not staying in a hotel. We did have, while I was down there, a flood. So I was out of those living conditions for about 10 days. And then I was in a nice suite by myself with a television. It was nice. But immediately the FBI wants us back in that environment to be training and to be a part of that group. So you're absolutely right, Chief. It was, that part is a challenge and a serious challenge for some people. Some people just have a difficult time adapting to that. People who are in the military and people who really want something that didn't bother them at all. But we did have some people who, you're living with someone who lives overseas and the traditions are different, their habits are different. It can challenge you. I was lucky. My roommate was from Alexandria, Virginia. You saw him. He was just like me, so we had a good time with him. Yes, sir.
Did you eat regular Marine Corps chow, or did you get special food?
No, we ate just as they ate. We had I actually enjoyed the food. And I'll tell you why, and it's, my wife's a wonderful cook, the best cook, actually. But the reason why I liked the food was it was cafeteria style, very similar to what the Marines were eating. But the options were incredible. I mean, you could eat sandwich, salad, soup, anything you wanted, although it was institutionalized food. For a guy like me who's a very simple eater, I thought that the options were endless. So we ate just like they did. You could eat as much as you want, but remember, we had that whole physical thing behind us. So you had to plan your meals properly, because when they had steak that night, you wanted to eat 3 of them. Probably wasn't a good idea if you had to get up the next day and do a 5-mile run. So,
How did they get you up in the morning?
Oh, your problem.
They didn't ring the bell or anything?
No, sir. And you better be there. You better be there. But with 4 people in a suite, noise,
Lights out at 10 o'clock?
again, that was up to you. They treated us like adults, and they treated us like police executives. The regimen of the training was up to you. You're only gonna get out of it what you put into it. Not everybody made it. I mean, you have to, not everybody made the yellow brick road. Not everybody got the graduate certificate that I got. It was a great commitment on an individual's part to survive. Yes, sir.
Do you know what HRT stood for?
Hostage response team, because originally the FBI dealt with the kidnapping and hostage type scenarios for law enforcement, but it grew into a SWAT team, so they left that name HRT. And a lot of people in HRT are former military who end up probably doing what Lieutenant Norris did. They come from a branch of the military, they become FBI agents, and the FBI recruits the best of the best. And I say that, I consider myself a tough guy, and I can handle the regiment of this job or something else, but when I saw what they go through, those guys are tough guys. Just like that, why I probably have a lot of respect for the lieutenant is a Navy SEAL. That whole thing is, I don't even know what that's about, but I'll let you know.
Is that the model that the SWAT teams use?
It's a combination. It's a combination. They do all kinds of training. They were very quick to say that they have a very, very high dropout rate when they originally have these folks, the FBI agents, apply for the HRT. It's a very, very elite group. Average age, I believe they said was 32. So you don't serve your career in HRT. They take the best of the best in the strongest times of your life. It's commanded by older agents, but the soldiers, if you can use that term, are just unbelievable. And we were able to sit down and talk to them and meet them. Fascinating group, and the equipment, bar none. Well, thank you very much for listening to me, and again, thank you for your support as residents of Georgetown to allow me to participate in this. I did bring things back to our officers, so it was a benefit, a big benefit. Yes, sir.
I got one sort of quickie here. When you hear of all these terrorist groups, for instance, at the Super Bowl coming up, when you see this area being heavily concentrated, or at least very much on alert on what could or could not happen, how does a police officer react to something like that, even in their own community, if they get word that, hey, that there may be terrorist activity going on?
Well, we have in place, after obviously the terrorist tragedy that we dealt with on the 9/11, the training of police officers changed, because they feel that the interdiction of terrorist activity will always be at the local level. It was that day, it could have been that day. We now have in place, for even a small community like Georgetown, officers who patrol our town. We have a policy on terrorism. Officers are alert for individual activities. I mean, you're not law enforcement officers, but we all have a sense when someone isn't just right. And we have policies in place that if you notify, intercept, or actually encounter any type of terrorist activity, we have the Massachusetts State Police Fusion Center, which is a terrorist intelligence group that we work very closely to. With the detective unit is linked right to the Fusion Center. There's a number of databases out there that law enforcement uses. So even an officer in a patrol vehicle who encounters something that may not be just right and may be in that realm versus just a local issue, we have very specific steps that we can take. And it involves the FBI, it involves the Massachusetts State Police, as well as other federal agencies. So it's a good question. We are prepared for that. We have to be, because that's where it's going to be identified, and with events like the Super Bowl and the World Series and things that are coveted to us as Americans, they know that the simple officer standing there at a security post, an agent who's not in uniform, who's just in the crowd, will probably identify when this thing happens. All right, thank you very much again.
Thank you.